right, live improv from New York City. And I want to take a second and say hello to a fabulous cast that has joined me here tonight. I want to say hello to JL and to Barry and right there to Mike. There's Mike. And say hello. And I want to say hello to Steve and Josh in the blue yonder there, and Jackie G in her library of humor. And I'm your host, Scotty Watson. I wish I could say we were going to start off with improv today, but we're not. We're going to start off with a fascinating documentary where we are going to meet the occupants of a beautiful town called Goon River. Now, Goon River had a big decision to make once upon a time. They had a big event coming up in the life of that small town. Remind me again, inhabitants of Goon River, what was that big event that you had coming up?
The very first Ferris wheel.
Oh, my goodness. How could I have forgotten? How could I have forgotten that? You see, the town was trying to decide if they were going to have their very first Ferris wheel. And I'll tell you something about the people of Goon River. And by the way, if you want now's a good time to write your real names. Those are the actors' names in those squares. If you want to write your real names, inhabitants of Goon River, that would be lovely. And I'll tell you something about these people. They're nice people. They're good people. They're the salt of the earth. But they never sit on a fence post, not the people of Goon River. No. They're either for something or they're against it. So the people in this town, some of them were for the Ferris wheel and some of them were against the Ferris wheel. And so now we're going to meet them and we're going to talk to them a little bit about how they felt about a Ferris wheel coming to the town of Goon River. I'd like to, you know what? I'm going to dive in right away with Susanna Marie Spotswood. I hope I said Spotswood correctly. Did I get that right?
You did, Scotty. Thank you so much for starting with me. I was just thrilled when I first heard the plans that the city was thinking about having a Ferris wheel. Now I have been down the road a piece. We live about 30 miles from the big city of Hog Jump, Tennessee.
Sure.
And in Hog Jump, they have a Ferris wheel, and I have wanted to go on the Ferris wheel there, but I have been a little nervous because heights do sort of scare me. But if we have our very own Ferris wheel, Scotty, I promise I will get the nerve, and I will hopefully with a special fella get to go on that Ferris wheel and hold hands.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of opportunity if it's in your own town. Now, Susanna, do tell me, what did you do in the town of Goon River?
Well, I do a little of this and that. I take in mending, and I do people's laundry and do a little house cleaning, just whatever needs doing around.
Right.
Babysit. I'm happy to help out.
You want it, Susanna's got it. Got it. Dynamite.
That's right.
Nice to meet you. Casey North, nice to meet you today. Can you tell me what you did in the town of Goon River?
Well, I owned the hardware store in Goon River. And I tell you, I'm 100% against the Ferris wheel. I was 100% against it. Now, you might think, wait a minute, there's a guy with a hardware store. But do you know what? Them contractors were not going to buy one single nut and bolt from my hardware store. They were getting it from the wholesaler down in Hog Jump, and I was going to make nothing out of it. And I'll tell you what else. Right. Somebody in the business knows those nuts and bolts can fail. Those are low quality. Who knows what disaster might happen? And I just don't trust them. And I think it's a big mistake and dangerous.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna keep an eye out for that possible scandal. Thank you, Casey, for the heads up on that.
You watch out.
We will. Thank you. Is it Willie? No, it's Wiley McFoot. Wiley.
Oh, thank you, Scotty. Yeah, it's a Wiley McFoot here.
Nice to meet you, Wiley.
Well, I'm the Goon River veterinarian, don't you know?
Sure.
Yeah. Been fixing up old lame horses and dogs and cats and the occasional parrot. I'm very much for the new Ferris wheel, of course.
No, I'm not sure why. You said, of course, like I should know. Why are you in favor?
As a matter of fact, that was my petition that got the whole ball rolling, or the wheel rolling, if you like.
I see what you did there. You just love yourself some Ferris wheel?
I love Ferris wheel. I missed it since I moved here to Goon River. I mean, there's nothing more romantic and special and exhilarating. It's a good family entertainment.
Oh, wow, that's good. That's good to have a family thing. Thank you, Wiley. Nice meeting you. Rosie Morrison. Any relation to Jim Morrison before we?
I'm afraid not. Thank you for asking.
Oh,
I do come from the proud Morrison family, but Jim isn't a member.
I think that's 2 R's anyway. So
Who knows?
Who knows? That would
I
require.
am not a follower of any double R Morrisons.
Oh yeah, they're the worst. They're the biggest trouble of all the Morrisons. What did you do in Goon River?
I was the sanitation engineer. I was responsible for the town being clean. And I did a great job. I'm a one-woman show, and I kept that place spanking clean.
Spanking clean. That's
Yep, I had my one truck. I had my people organized, and every day the neighbors put their stuff out, and I came by and collected it in my truck. Place was spotless.
every day trash collection.
It's a small town. I'm a one-woman show.
Wow, that is wonderful. Now, do you mind me asking if you were for or against the big Ferris wheel?
Yeah, I was opposed to the Ferris wheel. I could just, I'm on salary with the town. I don't get paid extra when people litter and don't pick up after themselves. And I could just see it drawing people into town who would get on a Ferris wheel with their popcorn or whatever. First thing you know, it would go over the side. Who's going to clean that up?
But Rosie, wouldn't that make your position even more important in the town?
Yeah, makes it more important, but it doesn't increase my salary. It's not like I have a staff.
Oh, okay. So you don't pick up, it's not by the bag or anything like that. Oh, well,
No, it's not piecework, Scotty.
well, I appreciate that. That would be a difficult way to do garbage. Then, no, nice meeting you. Really nice meeting you. Mac Pryor. It's nice to meet you tonight.
What can I do for you, my friend?
Well, Mac, we were wondering, what did you do in the town of Goon River?
Well, I was the lone law officer in Goon River there.
Oh, were you a police officer or a sheriff?
The answer is yes.
You were both of those things. Nice. The only law around.
Exactly, sir.
How'd you get into that business?
Well, as the sheriff, you get elected.
Uh-huh.
And so some peoples from Hog Jump came over for some reason and registered as being part of Goon River, voted for me, and then left. I have no idea what that was all about.
Oh, that's too bad. I hear they're down the road a spell.
Yes, down the road a spell. Very odd, But it's a nice place. It's a nice place. I like to it.
Well, then I hate to spoil the nice place, but let's dive right in and ask if you were for or against the Ferris wheel.
Well, I'm actually for it.
Oh.
Bring in some new business from other places, even though Rosie complains about it. She does like the work, from what I understand. But bring in some new people and new business from other places, and that'd be really nice.
Even our municipal workers are split in how they feel about this.
Absolutely, sir.
Interesting and divisive question. Last but certainly not least, Bernard Blecher. Have I said Blecher right?
You certainly have, sir. Blah, 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 as I say, yes.
Oh, blah, blah. Blecher. Got it. Okay, I got it. I'll never make that mistake again. What did you do, Mr. Blecher?
It's actually Dr. Blecker.
Oh, you should have that thing checked then.
Well, I I kind of changed professions. I was the only cardiovascular surgeon in Goon River.
In a small town, I wouldn't imagine that there's a lot of heart surgeries going on.
That's right. I decided to become the only magician in Goon River.
That's an interesting switch in jobs.
Well, yeah, magic is so much more reality based than cardiovascular surgery.
Sure. I'll believe that. Hey, Doc, if I can call you Doc, once a doc, always a doc. Were you? Oh, that was exciting. Were you for or against the big Ferris wheel?
Oh, for my big finale, my
Yep.
farewell to Goon River. I'll be moving on. I'm for it because I'm going to make the Ferris wheel disappear.
Ooh. Very David Copperfield of you.
Yes.
All right, so there's a slight skewing of the demographics for, but it's still pretty strong against. So you just hang in there. I want to talk about the day before. I don't know whether people at home know this. The city council decided to actually build the Ferris wheel. So they built the Ferris wheel, and then the day before it opened, there were some people that just couldn't accept the election results, and really still wanted to stop this thing from happening. And of course, there's some people that were still for. So I want to talk about that day before it opened and what some of us were doing the day before, and maybe who they saw. Let's start with you, Rosie, because you were against the building of the Ferris wheel.
Totally.
What did you do the day before?
The day before, well, I went and surveyed the grounds. There were insufficient number of trash barrels, and I was just looking for the opening and, just checking it around and seeing where I could drive my truck to try to, go through like at the end of each day. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Did you happen to see anybody when you were driving around?
Well, yeah. Now, the first person I saw, and this was pretty early for him, was Dr. Lawler, because he was there like waving his wand or something, trying to make the thing vanish. It was very amusing, I have to say. I had to be careful not to hit him with the vehicle, but I definitely saw him. And then there was Dr. McFoot, actually, who was checking out Mac Pryor, because these days, if you're having trouble with your heart, the best thing to do is see the veterinarian.
Of course, because you don't have a doctor anymore. You don't have a people doctor.
Yeah.
Well, let's go check out. I'm going to check out Bernard Blecher on your suggestion to find out what he was up to. So, Bernard, Dr. Bernard, if you're still a doctor,
Hi.
Rosie Morrison saw you in the fairgrounds trying to. Is that correct?
I believe I did see. I spotted Rosie earlier in the morning. It wasn't actually my wand I was waving, but she was right. I was there, and I was just I was just checking the logistics. The Ferris wheel.
Wow, there's sometimes I'm really happy that we don't do this in person. And that was one of those times. So you were just waving your wand all towards the.
Well, it wasn't exactly like I said.
Oh, I hear you. And we're all wagging our finger at you.
It was something. I'm getting a
We're getting I'm getting flushed. Did you happen to see anybody else in the fairgrounds that day before?
You're darn tootin', I did. You're darn tootin'. I spotted Casey
What?
with,
Oh,
with, well, with a wrench.
well, that's interesting because Casey was against the bill. On your suggestion, I'm gonna talk to Casey. Casey North. Bernard says that he saw you messing around with the Ferris wheel with a wrench. What up with that?
Well, that's right. Because, I never trusted that Ferris wheel. And I thought if anybody's going to check it out, everybody's going to tighten every nut and twist every bolt. It's got to be me. Because even though I opposed it being there, there it was going on up. And I couldn't be responsible to just say, wash my hands of it and let it fall to pieces. So I had to check everything out. And it's a good thing I did, because I'll tell you, I tightened more than one nut. I'll tell you that. And I'm not referring to Dr. Blacker either.
Wow, that's very conscientious of you, especially considering you're against the building of it. Now, while you were there that day before, did you happen to see anybody else?
Well, I did. And I'll tell you, it was not nice. So first of all, I saw Dr. Blacker, as I mentioned, and I thought, well, our whole problem could be solved. It just makes the damn thing disappear. He did not seem to be able to do that.
No, I don't think that's
So
going to
then
happen.
I had to go talk to Mac Pryor, who was hanging out just looking things over, which is kind of his normal method of policing, just looking things over. And I said, they're violating at least 6 different city ordinances here. But you know what? He just did not seem interested. And, that's it. After that, I just said, well, this damn thing falls apart. It's not my fault. That's
Well, you did what you could do, Casey.
I did what I could do.
When you said he didn't seem to care, he pointed at his palm. So I'm going to go talk to him. This could be breaking news. Mac Pryor, detective, sergeant, a police person, sheriff.
Yes, sir.
What?
Well, Mr. North here said that there was a number of different counter regulations that the Ferris wheel violated, and I couldn't see them. I had them all right there on my clipboard. None of them were violated. I have no idea what he was talking about.
Well, what did you find while you were checking things out around the Ferris wheel?
Well, after he left, there seemed to be a lot of loose pots on the ground, but he got away before I could talk with him about that.
Oh.
And actually, Rosie came through and picked some of that up. So it's almost, I don't know what's going on here. But I have to tell you something.
Mm-hmm. Well, you
that,
did.
I was sort of derelict in my duty that day. Yes, I was.
Why?
I will really admit that. Because I wasn't looking at the Ferris wheel. No, sir. I was watching Miss Susanna go from one house to the other.
Susanna Marie Spotswood. All right, let's find out what Susanna was up to. Susanna, Mac Pryor says you were going from one house to another the day before, and he saw you from the Ferris wheel. What were you up to?
Well, Scotty, as I told you, I do a variety of cooking and cleaning and laundry and babysitting from many of the good folks here in Goon River. And so I have a certain circuit of houses that I visit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite normal. Now, I will say that Officer Pryor is somebody that I do see a lot.
Oh, I see.
And I will say that whenever he has a problem or a suspicion, I am very well placed to be able to investigate, because I'm in everyone's house every day.
Interesting. Snooping around.
Well, I overhear things, Scotty.
That is another word for snooping around.
Or I accidentally run across something.
Literally yet another word for snooping around.
Oh, you are so judgmental.
I am. I really am. It's kind of my job. I'm a reporter. Hey, while you were there, did you happen to? I'm trying to figure out where Willie was that day. Did you happen to? I'm sorry. Did you happen to go in and out of, listen to, possibly observe, but certainly not snoop, Willie McFoot?
Wiley.
Wiley McFoot. Good point.
Why, yes, I did hear him talking, but he was talking to Casey North, and he was scolding him. He sounded like he was kind of telling him off, like, we need the income from something new because we're bringing in people who are going to sell refreshments.
Very interesting.
And we're going to have a parking lot where people are going to have to pay to park. So we're going to be having some town income. And Wiley was fussing at Casey about something where it seemed like Casey was trying to not have this happen.
Let me find out now. Let me get right in there right now. Willie, what was going on between you and Casey? Wiley.
Thank you.
I don't know if you knew Willie.
Yeah,
Wiley, what was going on between you and Casey the day before?
Well, I'll tell you what, Casey has been against the idea of a Ferris wheel since day one, has done everything to to glue up the works, to stop it in its tracks. Because, frankly, he's a bad businessman. He set his prices too high. Who's going to pay what he wants for hardware? Well, naturally, they went outside of Goon River. That's his own doing. And, of course, now I know he's in there meddling when he shouldn't be meddling.
Well, then I'm going to start with Casey when I talk about, and I'm sorry if I dredge up uncomfortable things, but I'm going to talk about the day of the big event, the opening of the Ferris wheel. First thing in the morning. It was early. Casey, what happened to you that morning?
Yeah, not a pretty sight. So here's the thing. It's 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And everyone's fixing to get that thing going. And I thought, look, I went and I tightened all the nuts and bolts, but I forgot to do the screws. I forgot to check the screws. So I brought my great, biggest, longest screwdriver with me.
Yep.
And sure enough, I found screws that needed tightening. And I was just there tightening the screw, and they started the damn thing up.
Yikes.
The screwdriver went up in the air and came down and right through the heart. And I'll tell you, Black Blecher couldn't have saved me even in his day as a cardio surgeon. And Wiley was nowhere to be seen. And that was the end of me.
Well, I am sorry, but then again, you died the way you lived, with hardware in your heart.
You got it. I died by the screwdriver. I lived by the screwdriver, and I died by the screwdriver.
Now, my understanding is that previously, the Bernard Blecher, previous doctor, was the first one on the scene after this had happened. What happened to you, Doctor, ex-Dr. Blecher, magician?
I keep, Scotty, I keep my dues up, the AMA, so I'm not ex.
You're still a doctor. Good. So what happened when you arrived on the scene?
Well, magicians need to really prepare, and I was there early in the morning, I was there. I raised my the curtain to make sure it was covered. Nobody could, when you drop the curtain and the Ferris wheel's gone. Well, Casey's right. The one screw, he never got to it. He was one screw off.
Some people said that about him, yeah.
And then the whole Ferris wheel, it started and it came off its tracks.
Oops.
Yeah, the people, oh my God, it was horrible. And it just, the top cart in the Ferris wheel came flying off and just fell right on top of me, and I was dead.
No, that also creates the horrible situation of a runaway Ferris wheel. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Exactly.
I want to check in with Susanna. I'm hoping against hope that you didn't get your gumption up and were on that Ferris wheel. Maybe you were. I don't know. What happened to you that day?
Oh, Scotty, I had promised 3 of the little children that I babysat for that I would take them to the Ferris wheel, because that way I would have my nerve up because I was taking care of them. So I wouldn't worry about my own fears. And so we were first in line, and we were on that Ferris wheel, and we were all the way up at the top, Scotty.
Yeah.
That top car but Dr. Bletcher was talking about.
That's him.
That was us. Oh, Scotty, I was holding these 3 children for dear life, and that car just went flying off, and the children were crying. And so I put my hands over their eyes so they could not see what was happening as we came down on top of Bernard Bletcher. And I did not get to say goodbye to Mac Pryor, the love of my life, and I never told him that.
Oh. Well, if it makes you feel better, I'm told that the children landed in a bush and they were both fine. You were the only one in the cart that was killed. If it makes you feel better.
That does, Scotty. Thank you.
Well, I tried.
Bless your heart.
Let's
Bless your
go to
heart.
Mac Pryor. Did you know that Susanna was the love of your life? Because I understand you were the first one on the scene being emergency responder.
Well, I sort of thought so, but we never did tell each other. Hearts call to hearts,
Sad.
Yes, yes. So I saw the Ferris wheel start to come apart. I saw the car with the love of my life fly off of that Ferris wheel. And the only reason those youngins was in the bush, my friend, was I was able to catch them and throw them out the way.
Oh, good for you.
But I couldn't catch Susanna. And the reason why I couldn't catch Susanna is the minute I turned my back on that Ferris wheel, a beam of some kind came flying through that curtain and just skewered me right here.
A beam. Oh, like a beam, like an I-beam, like
Yes,
a piece of metal.
A piece of metal.
I
A
thought
large
the
piece
plot's
of
really
metal.
turning if it's a laser beam. No, an I-beam got you right through the guts.
Right here, sir.
Oh, I'm so
Flat
sorry.
out on the ground. As I reached for my love, I could touch her foot, and that's it.
Oh, now I understand that when an event like this happens, all of municipal government is called out. So you were the first responder, but the second responder was you, Rosie. You were right on the scene there. What happened to you?
Scotty,
Rosie.
I hate to tell you, I told you so. I hate to tell the whole town I told you so. But I knew from the beginning this was a bad idea and that it was going to make a lot of garbage. And sure enough, I arrived with my truck, and what do I see? Debris, human remains. It was a wreck. It was a mess.
Sure.
You know, they don't pay me enough to clean up that big mess.
Awful.
But I'm a good citizen.
Sure.
I got back behind the wheel of my truck, and I lowered that front panel, and I scooped the people, and I scooped the people, and I scooped the people. But then, you know, I knew we couldn't provide them with proper burials, but I thought it's just not right to have them scooped into the garbage truck.
Thank you. Good.
So I went down to lift them one by one, and somehow I got caught up in the machinery, and
Oh, no.
I'm going to spare you the details, unless you want to know, but it was not a pretty scene.
It sounds like you were hoisted by your own garbage truck.
You got it.
Oh, Rosie, I'm so sorry. But at least your story was compact.
Oh, oh,
Ooh.
oh.
Wow. Okay.
That's
Okay.
enough trash talk from you, Scotty.
They're not all cold. I'm sorry that happened to you, Rosie. I appreciate that. Well, last but not least, I got to talk to Willie, Wiley. That's the last time I'll make that mistake.
Thank you.
Wiley. Now I understand that you were late getting there, even though this whole thing was your idea. You arrived just after Rosie's compaction. What happened to you?
Well, you know, I'd gone down to get some ice. There was so much excitement. We were serving refreshments. So I went down to get some more ice. I come back to this insanity. The Ferris wheel off its track, all these bodies. Rosie in the middle of all this, her truck is in the way. Well, 911 is coming. They're coming from Hog Junk to help us out. And I had to move that garbage truck out of the way, for crying out loud. So I get in the cab to move the truck. And for crying out loud, she had no brakes in that thing. It was on a 5% grade. I had no way to stop the garbage truck. It rolled over and crushed me.
You should have stayed inside the truck. That helps keep you from getting crushed. Well, not inside like Rosie was inside, but in the cab anyway.
What I should have done.
Oh.
Their people shouldn't touch my machinery.
They really should never.
I know how to drive it.
I know. I don't like people touching my junk either.
Did know how to drive. Back then.
Well, I am really sorry that I had to drag up those old memories. And because you were so wonderful, I just have to thank you. Thank you for telling us your stories. And thank you for watching Improv on a Friday night. Hey, it's Friday night live improv, and we're going to be back with more in just a second. So you stick around. Well done, everyone.